are, and there are a ton of people who give just a lot of credibility to you, the way you think, the way you approach it.
Thank you.
And where I wanted to start, and this is something I don't have the answer to, so I'm really curious to hear what you say.
All right.
Right now, the noise around being young today is that the world financially has basically come to an end. Everybody's buried under so much debt. There's no way to get ahead. They're stuck. They're trapped. And I've heard that so many times. In the beginning, I just sort of blew it off, and I'm like, it's a mindset problem. It's so pervasive. Is it a mindset problem, or is it really something deeply problematic that's happening?
I think the answer is yes. Yes and yes. I think that there are definitely systemic problems when it comes to things like inequality. When I think it comes to things like student loan debt, yes, those are problems, and there needs to be a lot of work done on those. And we can simply look at history to see how crazy tax rates are compared to where they've been historically, or how crazy student loan debt is compared to where it was historically. But whenever I hear someone who starts complaining about the, large-scale societal problems, I just have one question. I say, do you invest in your 401k? And it's one thing to talk about systemic problems, and we should talk about them and tackle them. But the best thing we can do for ourselves is to focus on what we can control. And that's what I believe. That's why I'm here. Some people work on systemic problems. I'm here to help people one-on-one with their money and their psychology.
Yeah, that to me is a very interesting and powerful approach. I come at it the same way. I was giving a talk at Google, and there was an African-American gentleman in the front row, and basically the question was like, is it harder for me? And my answer was, yes, that seems pretty apparent, but now what? So you can go try to tackle that systemic problem, and I'm super glad that there are people who are wired for that.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm always like, what can I do right now today? Because when you're dealing with huge systemic problems, you're doing something amazingly altruistic for the next generation, but the odds of you being able to reap the benefits of that are pretty slim.
Yeah, so, I agree. And I think that when you can start to take control and make one step after another, for example, for people who are in debt, it's so interesting. When people write me about how to get out of debt, over 90% of them don't know how much they owe. So if you don't know how much you owe, I understand that. Why would you want to open up the emails and the bills? You don't know what's inside, but you know it's bad. But the first step to doing that, to paying it off, is to open it up, confront reality, get real, and then make a plan. And all of those things can be done in and of yourself without regards to what's going on outside your house or outside your email inbox.
One thing that I really like about your approach is the way that you look at it from a psychological standpoint. You talk a lot about programming, the beliefs that people have around money, which I think are really, really important. And as the person who I believe it is my mission in life is to help people construct a frame of reference that sets them up to what I'll call, it's an empowering mindset. It sets them up to be able to actually execute on their dreams.
Yeah.
What is the frame of reference, the mindset, the intentional programming that you think especially young people who are struggling right now should have?
Well, let's start with what they do have. So we grow up with these things I call invisible scripts. And these are the scripts that are beliefs that are so powerful, we don't even realize that they're around us. That's why they're invisible. So a classic one in America is, the American dream is buying a house. Where did that come from? And in fact, there's all these phrases that people use like, you're throwing money away on rent. They don't make more land, and on and on and on. If you really deconstruct that and you actually run the numbers, you might discover that actually buying a house is often not the best investment. And this is super counterintuitive. People get really mad because real estate is religion in America. But if you actually dive in deep, you might discover, wow, there's a lot of parties who want me to spend a ton of money. That's why, for example, I could buy today, but I rent. And when people hear that, they're like, wait, I thought I will teach you to be rich, guys, rich, so why is he renting? They get very confused because real estate is religion. Another thing that is really common today for people is there's no way to get ahead, right? Especially for young people. Social Security won't be around, et cetera, et cetera. And I just don't believe in that. I think if you go onto Reddit or you go onto these places where it's a lot of people who are disaffected young people, they create an echo chamber of other people who want to victimize themselves, then you have a choice. Do you want to be reading those threads? Or, like I was reading the comments on your YouTube videos. I was like, these are the best YouTube comments I've ever seen. People are positive, constructive. They're pointing out things they saw in the 30-second minute of the video, meaning they actually watched the whole thing. Those are the kind of people that I want people to be around. So it's not impossible to make money. There's actually a lot of people making money. It's not impossible to get ahead, pay off debt, even invest and grow. There's a lot of people doing it. But if you're surrounded by people who constantly complain about how difficult it is and it's impossible, guess what? You're going to absorb those invisible scripts.